Hey guys, Brett here, and today I'm joined by the game director, Kent Hudson. Kent, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, no, of course. I really appreciate you coming on. So I want to jump straight into the questions. In my session, I was lucky enough to have a spy on my team, and I noticed, for the spy at least, he has a car assigned to him. So first off, I was wondering, could it be possible to assign any car to any character, or is this something that's just limited to a specific person?
Yeah, so car ownership is basically something that's based on the characters. So it's not just the spy who has that. That's just one of the many sort of abilities that people can have. So all around the world, you find people with different vehicles they come with. And then if someone comes with a vehicle, of course, you can customize it some and put like new paint jobs and stuff on it. So you can kind of make it your car. And then anytime that you switch to that character on your team, the car will be like on standby right there.
Yeah, I noticed,
Yeah.
at least for a construction worker, I think they have like a drone, so that kind of counts as their vehicle.
Yeah, yeah.
So just to be clear, there's not going to be like in previous games there was cars on demand where you could just call any car. That's not going to be in the game, right?
Right. No. That's not in the game. We used sort of car on demand as the backbone of the sort of car ownership feature, but it's just more important for us in terms of it's a game about people, so we wanted to make sure that we lent it a little bit more of that feel to make people feel a little bit unique, and also it is something that can incentivize recruitment, because right when you're going around the world and scanning people and profiling them, you're making these decisions about like, ooh, that ability sounds cool, oh, that sounds neat, and like so yeah, oh, they've got that car, sweet, so it kind of is a cool sort of personality thing as well.
And some characters just have nothing, so don't
Yeah.
recruit those characters. No, I'm just kidding.
You can if you want to.
So when recruiting a character, I noticed some already had weapons assigned to them. Are some of these characters only assigned non-lethal weapons, like depending on which character, or could you switch it out later on and like?
Right. So the way it works is that the answer is a bit complicated, so I'll try to walk through it. The way it works is that to start, the tech tab of your menu is where you can buy upgrades that apply to anyone in your DedSec movement. And there's gadgets and hacks and abilities in there, but there's also 4 DedSec weapons. So there's 4 non-lethal weapons that are going to be available to anyone who you recruit on your team. So like no matter what, even if it's someone off the street who comes with no abilities, they will always be able to use any of those weapons that you've unlocked. And like I said, those are non-lethal weapons, and our characters can carry 2 weapons at a time. So anybody you recruit, you'll always be able to sort of mix and match whatever combination of those 4 weapons you want. And then, as you said, characters in the world can also have a weapon specialty. It's all based on who they are. So maybe they're ex-military, or maybe they're, they like target practice on the weekend or whatever. They're a member of a shooting club. That will define their ability to use certain weapons. And so, and then, third, you'll see some of our characters have sort of what we call, unique weapons, like, the street artist with the paintball gun, or the construction worker with the nail gun. And those are, linked just to that character. Now you can, if you want to, you can say, hey, my construction worker, I actually don't like using the nail gun because of whatever reason, you just don't like it. And you can switch it out with any of those DedSec weapons, those 4 DedSec non-lethal weapons. So you can still mix and match. You're not stuck with that weapon if you don't want to use it or you don't like it or whatever. And so, there are a mixture of lethal and non-lethal guns that you can find on people in the world. And then the final sort of wrinkle to it is that, let's say, for example, that we've got 3 different shotguns that you can find on people in the world, for example. I don't know if we actually have 3 shotguns, so maybe it's 2, maybe it's 4, I don't know, so don't quote me. But basically, if you recruit somebody who's got shotgun 1, and then 2 hours later you recruit somebody who's got shotgun 2, then when you're editing the weapons on those characters, if you know how to use shotguns, you can use any shotgun. So sort of as you recruit people to your team, you sort of build up an arsenal in a sense. And so anyone who can use a certain class of weapon can use any of those classes, any of those weapons from the class that you recruited. So so if you're really sort of a weapons player, then you're going to be able to find that in the world and sort of build up your arsenal. But we felt it was important in a game about people to make sure there's a justification for why people can use these guns. And so you can't just find a 70-year-old person working at a coffee shop and say, hey, you get a grenade launcher and an assault rifle. Unless maybe they're a military veteran, and then have at it.
So for like changing weapons and all that, you can do that all in the menus, right? You don't have to go to the HQ.
Yeah.
At the HQ there is a 3D printer though. So does that just like change the skin of a weapon, or is there more upgrades to it?
That's actually something that's like right in the middle of development right now. So there are upgrades to the DedSec weapons. You just buy those straight in the menu. And you can also apply weapon skins also in the menu. So the 3D printer, we're sort of tweaking exactly how it works, but you know, and it'll probably change a little bit before the game ships. But yeah, right now you can do all of that weapon sort of loadout management and skins and stuff. You can do all that just directly in the menu. You can do it anytime as long as you're not like in combat.
Another thing, and I didn't really get it tested out in this demo, so it's a perfect chance to ask you, but so for radio stations, at least in Watch Dogs 2, it was all connected to your phone. So if you left a car, the music would still be playing. Is that still a feature in Legion, or is music only going to play while you're in a car?
In Legion, it's just in cars. I mean, we've got the different streams of different styles of music and stuff like that. And then we've also, you know, done a lot with placing music in the world. So, you know, you go to different locations and people have radios on and boom boxes and stuff like that. But the player doesn't have a phone in the same way that they do in Watch Dogs 2. So we don't have, you know, there's not the option to just like, you know, listen to, you know, your favorite hip hop station at all times.
A question that you've probably seen a lot is, and I don't know if you can answer this, but how big is the map if you had to compare it to Watch Dogs 2, for example?
I don't know offhand in terms of like, you know, this many, you know, kilometers by this many kilometers, but, you know, from people who work on both games, I think they've said that it's basically geographically around the same size as Watch Dogs 2. However, it's a much denser map than Watch Dogs 2. I mean, obviously being a dense urban environment does some. You don't have as much of the sort of like Silicon Valley, rolling hills type of locations. But yeah, the density of it is much higher. So yeah, comparable in size, but you know, I think there's more sort of mission locations and stuff.
Yeah, no, I could definitely tell it was a lot denser compared to the previous games.
Mm-hmm.
Another question I have is, so when I was driving around on a boat, I noticed Albion ships. If you have a wanted level, will these Albion ships attack, or will drones just come for you?
Yeah, it's mostly drones that are part of the pursuit system. But drones can come off of those barges, so you still want to steer clear.
No, I came across a riot drone multiple times, and
yeah,
they kind of destroyed me every single time.
Gotta buy those hacks. Gotta buy those hacks.
Yeah, speaking of hacks, I know a lot of people want to know if the Blackout will be returning, or I don't know if you could talk about that.
Not in the exact form that it came in Watch Dogs 2. I mean, some of our, like, again, it's, you know, stuff is put on characters. So for example, we have a hacktivist character who does what we call virus hacks, where you can take any of the core hacks that are, you know, familiar from Watch Dogs, of like, you know, distract or gun jam or things like that, and you can actually have that spread out to all the people nearby. So instead of just saying, I'm going to jam this guard's gun in the middle of a fight, you can do it to all of the guards and, like, you know, take over. And you can do that with any of the hacks that are available to you, but there's not the, like, you know, power down and turn out all the lights type of stuff.
All right. Well, I think that does it. Thanks again, Kent, for doing this interview. I know a lot of people really like these super gameplay specific questions, so I really do appreciate it.
Yep. No problem, man. I'm always happy to talk about gameplay.